felt that it was really time to actually talk about the promise of Southeast Asia. It's a big, lofty title because, that's vision. That's what it takes to actually go around here and basically talk about what effectively is the opportunity that's sitting at the door for everyone in this room. Here's the thing. We are the fastest growing games market in the world. You may not think about it, but basically we love games. We spend money on games. We also love making games. We're effectively driving force behind not only effectively the penetration of mobile, but also console gaming, PC gaming. But if we sit down and we start talking about this, the reason why this has all happened is because of you. And then a funny thing happened. Someone in the government decided that it would be a smart idea to actually invest in the creative economy. So let's look at this number here. $3.8 billion in revenue by 2018. $3.8 billion. US dollars. I want to talk a little bit about the strong government support, because here's the thing. About, would have been in 2006, I met this guy named Hasnell, and I remember him just telling me with such enthusiasm about the talent that Malaysians had, but also just where things were going and how the direction of the government was moving towards this creative economy. Now, you guys got to understand something. At the time that I heard this, I had a studio in Amsterdam, and I'm sitting here basically, ears deep in trying to convince the European Union to actually do something about the creative economy. So effectively what ended up happening is I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to hear this thing about Malaysia. Well, in 2009, the Creative Conference happened. We came out here, and we were just like, my God, look at all this stuff that's going on over here. And that's when we sat down and got the hook. I was like, okay, something's going on over here. That promise of Southeast Asia started here. And I'm going to talk about where this goes from now. So let's first talk about what we do. We've been fortunate enough to basically be doing this business for 15 years. We started the company inside of an apartment in Amsterdam. If you're really wondering if that's true, Google, Streamline Studios, Tech TV. Making video games was a multinational, multidisciplinary, everybody in the world usually wants to be a part of this opportunity type of experience. So we dug in deep and basically started focusing on building a company that would basically be nerdy and at the same time interesting to work on. And that took us from Amsterdam to Malaysia, where we showed up with 7 people and began to build this organization. Currently, we're 200 people and growing. It just keeps getting bigger. And it's getting bigger because of the fact that the talent that's coming out of Malaysia's schools, what's coming out of self-taught, what's coming out of the businesses, is top-notch. They're basically capable enough to work on projects that effectively are lifting the envelope of what is possible in the industry. And more importantly, they are teaching us what else we can do. So here's the thing. We team up with the young guys and the young girls out here, 23 years old. They're out here telling us what's cool. And we take that information and basically focus that in on making great products. Some of the games, obviously BioShock, Street Fighter, Terminator. We've worked on a couple of stuff, but yeah, that's the portfolio. We look at 460 million, but it does get estimated up to 600 million people, effectively young, wanting to get into the games industry or in the creative endeavor. That young, energetic, can-do spirit, I'll do anything just to get into the door, makes you prime entrepreneurs. It makes you prime, talented managers, leaders, or potential craftspeople that can help make this industry grow. Now, the online connectivity in this country, or in specifically Southeast Asia, is growing at an alarming rate. Singapore had a statistic that came out that effectively showed that online penetration within Southeast Asia will end up toppling well over 200 million. This is insane growth. You guys have more online people than in the United States by 2018. Why this is important is because those skills are interchangeable between these industries, but more importantly, what it comes down to is it shows not only can we create IP, but we can also create technology, we can also create jobs. The growth of our industry is the growth of young people. We are the places where they want to work. We're not lawyers, we're not doctors, we're not accountants. The world needs that, but they have plenty of them. We're the people that are basically doing the 3D work, the design, the engineering. We're being creative. We're the people that sit down and find fascinating ways to use technology in order to engage and entertain, while at the same time developing solutions for non-gaming applications. The key thing is that the skills that we develop as game developers, as designers, as engineers, that goes into those other industries. All of the stuff we learned about how to engage individuals and how to get them to want to keep doing something is effectively transferring over into the other side of the economy. The reality is that my skills are actually wanted by media groups, scientific centers, technology centers, large companies that effectively want to be able to employ people with my capability. It's up to us to educate and also help people understand how gaming technology spreads across to the other industries. Now, this is not some pie-in-the-sky thing right now. This is reality happening right now in front of you. And everything we do right now that may be to entertain people is effectively helping other industries. VR, huge, going into construction. AR, diagnosis, medical. These type of things are coming. There's a game that just got created that teaches doctors how to do surgery. Have you ever heard of this expression, practicing medicine? I practice medicine because I'm actually never perfect as a doctor. Therefore, I must practice, and guess what? Would you rather that I practice on a simulator or practice on you? This is what this technology is being utilized for, and this is what is great for us because it effectively means our skills are transferable and, more importantly, capable to build businesses. The beautiful thing about technology is that you can be anywhere in the world, from any walk, any background, any disposition, and you effectively have intelligence. How you choose to apply that intelligence will effectively decide the fate of where you go. Within Southeast Asia, we have so many kids and effectively being spread and hit up with such technology as well as games. We're going to grow this industry to 200 billion just across the board. If you take a step back and you think about that, the transfer of skills, like I spoke about a moment ago, means that effectively we get engineers also going into the games industry. You're in luck. For all of you in Malaysia, you got some of the best talent in the world that's popping up left and right. But the thing is, the talent is inexperienced. Let's be real. Experience comes by applying your knowledge and by being a part of things that are larger than yourself. So what this comes down to is that the studios out there in the crowd effectively need to find people that they can attract to help level up the talent internally. More importantly, it shows to your potential partners that you're serious about the growth of your company. Because here's the thing, I'm talking about companies. I haven't once said anything about games. It's a company. Remember that. And your talent is the core asset. Build a company, not a game. I love this expression. I meet so many people over the past 15 years that basically come up, hey, check out my game, check out my game, check out my game. Cool, I've seen like 1,000 games. What I'd rather see is this person who says, hey, check out my studio that's making a lot of games because I'm building a company that's built to last. The reality is, guys, is that 65% of the people working in the games industry right now have been in it for less than 5 years. 65%. Why is that? Because it's brutal, it's unforgiving. You bust your back with maybe the hope of something, but then in the end of the day, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the ones that last were the ones that realized they were building a studio, not just a game. This idea of a hand up, not a handout, let me go ahead and tell you what a handout is. Here's $1. Let me tell you what a hand up is. Let me help you learn how to make the dollar, make the ringgit. We live in a place which is fantastic because in Malaysia, they invest in everything. They invested in creative, yes. But the thing is, guys, remember something. If you're waiting for someone to make something for you happen, you'll wait your entire life. Because the honest truth is, no one here is going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Now, that might sound pretty hard, especially coming from some guaylo on stage with a microphone, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you something. That's the reality. We came here with 7 people. No one gave it to us. We just made it. The one reason why I put this on here is because I want you guys as studios to understand something. It's great that you can get help, but the reality is you need to help yourself first, which effectively means you invest into your teams, you invest into yourselves, and you work very hard at building that studio that you need to have. It's heads down, pencils up, making it happen. We don't compete on price. We compete on value. What is value? It's the ability for me to create something from what you are willing to pay for and what it costs me to create it. i.e., I make money because I sell something at the appropriate price, which means I have partners that are willing to pay the appropriate price. If I have a partner that is unwilling to pay the appropriate price, well, that's not really a partner, that's a transaction. You got to understand the difference in this, guys, because in the end of the day, a lot of people will ask you to dance for dimes when they're willing to pay bills. But if you're willing to do it for a dime, wonder why you can't afford to grow your business. And that goes back to that idea of a business. You got to understand the economic model. Last part is under promise and over deliver. I know you guys have been to conferences. You've sat down to people, and they're like, can you make a train? Yes. Can you make a house? Yes. Can you make a spaceship? Yes. Can you cure cancer? Yes. You never hear no. Be prepared to say no. Be ready to say no. In fact, you should say no first before anything else, because the reality is, No means you actually thought about what it is you can do. It means that you actually understand the capabilities of your team. It means you actually understand the reality of the people you're dealing with. More importantly, it shows that you actually respect your business, i.e. you respect yourself, which is exactly what you kind of have to do, especially in the games business. That leads to this under-promise, over-deliver part. You can't go around telling everyone you can do everything. You can't go around saying you can get everything done, because the reality is you can't. But what you can do is try. And you can always tell someone that you're willing to try. So you under-promise, and then you give them the wow by doing something that blows their mind because you chose to do that. You chose to make that happen. Doing takes more than words. And one thing that I have seen specifically from the MDEC, from having been able to work with them and actually just experience the way the team, specifically the games group, works on this, this is phenomenal, because I've never seen a group of people that actually care about the games industry more than the people that actually work in the games industry. And that's a big deal. I want you guys to understand something. The government cannot do it all for us. We have to do it for ourselves. Because in the end of the day, remember something, there's policy and then there's our lives. My livelihood, I have a little girl, she's almost 2 years old. Every day I wake up, I look at her, I look at my family, I look at the 200 people that work for me, and I realize, well, if I sit here and think pennies are going to come from heaven, chances are it's not going to happen. So I need to team up and work with other people within the industry to try to make things happen. We have dialogue, we work together, we create the jobs, you talk to the schools, you talk to each other, because that ultimately is what's going to build up and create this opportunity. But it's also the same thing for those in Southeast Asia. So the thing is, like this, being able to talk and work with people outside of Malaysia is absolutely imperative too. But the thing is, what it comes down to is effectively this. We need to work together, and we're looking for more people that we can go ahead and cross over to. So let's go on to the next step. This idea of leading from the front and not from the back, I want to put this in front of you guys for this one specific reason. You can't just tell people what to do, you need to show them how to do it. We're here to show people how to do it. And as a studio, if you're not showing your people how to do it, then you're failing right there, and you're not going to get the people you need. I really want to express this to you guys in a way that I can only say basically like this. I've had managers at my studio that thought their job was nothing more than just blah, 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 meeting, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, what are the results? And then they give you a bunch of BS. And they're like, oh, well, I had meetings. That's not leading. That is just wasting time. You need to make sure you identify those value adds, those leadership positions you can do to drive yourself forward and take advantage of it. So here's what it comes down to. I've traveled the world and I do my business all the time. I want you guys to understand something. There are groups of people in this world that can't see past their own ignorance. Unlike other places prior to their adventures, Malaysia, Southeast Asia, doesn't have to be taught. We already learned. And this learning came from the fact that we had the products. However, the misconception is there's no skill and I need to teach. That's squarely not true. The next thing is compete on price. I can tell you right now, never compete on price. If you compete on price, you might as well just go work for someone else, because you're not going to make a dollar or a cent. And in fact, you might as well just go get a job, because that's effectively what you're going to end up having until the studio burns to the ground. We will become a global games hub. Malaysia is already leading the way. But moreover, this will become the place where it happens, where people will work with us and come to us not only for content, but also for technology, innovation, and of course, new IPs. So when looking at these last two, about Knowledge and Tech Center, the investments that have been made in the development of technology, the fact that we have sat down and created solutions to help our fractured, or say fragmented ecosystem, puts us at an advantage to effectively win over the next 2 billion people that are coming to the economy. Being based out of Southeast Asia gives us a great opportunity, because our cost base being what it is, that's our opportunity. I can't help it that the price is 2/3 the price than most places in the world. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give it away. That just means that's my opportunity. And people can pay market rates, which effectively means we can invest into ourselves and grow faster, play harder, and take bigger blows than most people can, because you can run longer at the table than anyone else can. So for us, value over cost. Whether it's the announcements like Uncharted, Street Fighter V, Final Fantasy 15, or all the other games that are running through this country right now and throughout the region, we are clearly demonstrating the value and making it happen and not giving it away, which is the most important thing. We don't have to give anything to anyone because we don't owe them anything. That's a beautiful position to be in. Thank you very much, guys, because here's the thing. In the end of the day, this is all made here. It's a Malaysian team, Malaysian creative, Malaysian engineers, Malaysian talent. This is you. This is us. This is where we're going. And this, all together, is the promise of Southeast Asia. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, a big round of applause. Alexander Fernandez.
Thank you so much.